Google cracks down on bad ads, an update on our iOS Android switch, and Facebook, I just can't quit ya. All that and a whole lot more coming up on Tech News Today.
This is Twit.
Bandwidth for Tech News Today is provided by CacheFly at CACHEFLY.com.
Hi, this is Leo Laporte, and once again, time for Twit's audience survey. We'd really like to hear from you. It's only going to take a couple of minutes, really. That's all. Just go to twit.tv/survey and let us know what you think. Your anonymous feedback will help us make Twit even better. And thanks for your continued support.
This is Tech News Today, episode 1691, recorded Wednesday, January 25th, 2017.
This episode of Tech News Today is brought to you by Blue Apron. Blue Apron will send you fresh, high-quality ingredients to cook delicious meals with simple step-by-step instructions right to your door. See what's on the menu this week and get your first 3 meals free with free shipping by going to blueapron.com/TNT.
And by Rocket Mortgage by Quicken Loans. When it comes to the big decision of choosing a mortgage lender, work with one that has your best interest in mind. Use Rocket Mortgage for a transparent, trustworthy home loan process that's completely online at quickenloans.com/TNT.
Welcome to Tech News Today. This is the show where we talk about all the tech news that happened today. I'm Megan Maroney.
I'm Jason Howell. Happy to have you back, Megan.
Thank you. I am happy to be back, and I've been enjoying talking to people who agree and people who don't agree with me. I'm happy to keep talking about that. Anyone can email me, DM me on Twitter. People have even messaged me on Instagram to discuss politics, so I'm happy to do that, but not here.
But not here. I'm not sure we're going to get too political today. I mean, yeah, whatever. We'll let the news speak for itself, because the news is the news, all right? Starting with Google. Go. Every year, Google releases its bad ads. I've got to say that carefully. Bad ads report to shed light on its progress in fighting deceptive and tricky ads on its site. In 2016, Google actually eliminated around 1.7 billion bad ads that came in direct violation of its policies. That's more than doubling 2015's number and shattering 2011's measly 130 million, whatever. Extra gains were made thanks to new rules such as banning payday loan ads, if you remember that from earlier this year. Also banning trick-to-click ads that replicate system warnings to get users to click and download malware. Gotta hate that stuff. Google also cracked the whip when it comes to deception that ultimately could lead a user to believe that a site contains real news and not something like that term we've heard many times, fake news.
Mm-hmm. So. I have one question for you.
Uh-oh, I hope I can answer it.
Are you at risk of a rare skin-eating disease?
Being a human being and knowing that there is probably the existence of some rare skin disease out there, I have to imagine that I am at risk in some way, shape, or form. Probably not very much, though.
So would you click that? Because that's what we're talking about here, like all kinds of ads. Those ones at the bottom, like you are at risk of a skin-eating disease. So it sounds like you might have clicked that ad.
I don't know if I clicked it, but I know I've seen plenty of those, and they give you that picture too, and it's like super close up and weird, and it could be a million things, and you're like, yeah.
So that's what we're talking about.
I hate those.
But it's not just to keep us from being grossed out or falling for these things. I mean, this is Google's business.
Yeah, totally.
90% of their revenue comes from ads, so they want to be able to get us the good ones. They don't want all the fake news. I'll say it, or the fake ads, the payday loans. Like we talked about that last week. They were trying to crack down on those, which is great. It would be great if we didn't see those. They're predatory loans that take advantage of people that are most vulnerable. And so it's great that they've done a lot, disabled 5 million of those since we last talked about that. So that's amazing. They're, of course, not doing it out of the goodness of their heart. But it is going to do some good, I think. And the only problem is that they have to go slowly because they have to make sure they're not censoring opinions, that they're not just
that's a good point.
Saying, that is really offensive, like drawing a line between what's just offensive, what's just something I don't agree with, whereas what is just actually fake or dangerous.
Yeah, it's pretty easy to judge if something is, when it leads to malware, it's pretty easy to make that assumption and make that decision that this is bad. obviously no one actually really wants to get malware or wants to be tricked in that way, so remove it. But I think you're right. The challenge is when the water gets a little bit murkier, in regards to making some sort of determination that something is fake versus real or whatever the case may be. They said between November and December, Google reviewed 550 sites, removed around 200 publishers due to fake news tricks happening through the ad system. And Google also noted that it would take more than 50 years to remove all of these ads if they were to do it, and it only took 1 second to remove each of them. But their system is just way awesomer than that, because it didn't take 50 years. It took 1.
But that's where I feel like reading their blog post was a little disingenuous, because it's like, are they trying to push that they're doing it so quickly? But like, is it all right? Like, what got, what's the bycatch in there? Like, what else got taken away from
question.
that? I don't know.
Yeah. Nothing, because Google is perfect.
Okay. Obviously, having that iPhone and Apple Watch hasn't been doing what it's supposed to do.
I'm joking.
HP is recalling 101,000 laptop batteries over fire concerns. This is in addition to the 41,000 batteries that were recalled last June. The Consumer Product Safety Commission says the batteries can overheat, posing fire and burn hazards. The CPSC also says the expanded recall involves lithium-ion batteries containing Panasonic cells that are used in HP notebook computers. So those units compatible with HP Compact, HP ProBook, HP Envy, Compact Presario, HP Pavilion systems that were sold between March 2013 and October of last year through Best Buy, Walmart, Costco, Sam's Club, and HPC's website, US, Canada, and Mexico. And if you want more information, HP's site has it all there.
For all the individual models and everything. Yeah, they made sure to point out that recall only covers around 1% of its laptops sold during that 3.5-year period. So it sounds like a lot, but in the grand spectrum of their entire catalog, maybe not as much. And of course, everybody's just super sensitive about exploding batteries at this point, partially because Samsung made it such a talked about thing. But I mean, batteries exploded well before Samsung burst onto the scene. Literally.
For me, I was always concerned with overheating battery, especially with something in my lap. I don't know about you.
That's true. I mean, sure, concerned, but did you still put the laptop on your lap?
Yes.
Because I did too. So I don't know how concerned I actually was. If I was really concerned, maybe I put it on the desk, I suppose. And I mean, this is the way it goes, right? This is the world. This is the technology world that we live in. While lithium-ion batteries are a thing that powers pretty much everything that we are tech addicted to, and that probably isn't going to change until better battery technology comes along. So, exploding batteries are here, and they're not going anywhere.
That's what I marched for this week, in case you're...
Exactly. I was trying to come up with a march, and I couldn't quite do it. That was a really poor march call. We'll work on it.
Okay.
Facebook is making some changes to the trending news section on the site in an attempt to help it combat the proliferation of fake news on the platform. First, Facebook says it will not pull in topics based on a single report. They're hoping that multiple outlets reporting on a story will hopefully legitimize that story for others. Also, Facebook will stop personalizing those trending topics for every user. So basically, in essence, removing the filter bubble tendencies of the section prior to the change, which essentially the way it worked before is that it really kind of mirrored the signals that you had given to Facebook as far as what you care about, what you're following, what your interests are. Now it's like a blanket kind of coverage sort of thing where what you see is the same thing that what everybody else in your country sees. So it really seems like the trending news section gets pretty watered down. Do you think it's a good change? Do you think these are the right changes in order to achieve its goal?
Well, I think the similarity between this story and the story about Google's changing their AdSense policy, it just highlights again how these giant companies that make their money out of advertising are also in charge of these really editorial decisions, essentially. And I mean, you look back at what Zuckerberg said in 2013, he said their goal at Facebook was to give everybody in the world their very own personalized newspaper. And we know exactly what that turned into was filter bubbles, people just not understanding anyone but the people that believed exactly what they believed. And it's no good. And then they ended up hiring people and who had bias, because people have bias. That's the nature of being a person.
Kind of,
and so they're you know, and I am glad Facebook is doing something. They have to do something. I'm more interested in their Facebook journalism project, which we talked about a few weeks ago. That's really teaching journalists how to use Facebook. And it is hard. I just, as working, in editorial for so long, it saddens me that it seems like these decisions are being made by advertising companies.
Yeah, I mean, this is the type of choice that a newspaper or a news site makes, right? What is the thing that makes the front page? What is the most important story that we want to make sure everybody sees? Mm-hmm. That is what kind of the changes to trending news are doing in essence, right? Before, if it was based on user habit, user signals, it's totally different than what they're doing now, which is selecting the things. I mean, is it going back to the way it was before with people? Because I couldn't find out anywhere in here whether it was humans or whether it was algorithms.
They still have not. They're not hiring any humans that they've said to do this. They're just going to add a little description, and I guess that will come from the website. So it's not there yet. And I never look at the trending news section.
Yeah.
Mine says Stephen Bannon, 10K people are talking about this. Mary Tyler Moore, 210,000 people are talking about this. Did she die?
Yes.
Oh, I'm sorry. I didn't know that. I guess I should be checking trending news. And Columbus, Mississippi, 14,000 people, and I don't know why that is either. Do you?
No.
Okay. So it's like, but I would like to know why. So that's what they're doing. They're adding a little
extra head, like a subhead in there. Yeah, I mean, these are changes that really kind of bring, and Mark Zuckerberg had kind of mentioned, I can't remember his exact phrase, but not that they are a publishing company, they are a new type of publishing company. Mm-hmm. So these are changes that I think echo that new perspective, because it really is very, very akin to an editor of a newspaper saying, what do we put on the front page? Mm-hmm. That's what you're getting now. I guess the challenge there is making sure that those few things that do appear for millions and millions of viewers, are free of bias as well, free of an unintentional influence of some sort. And man, it's not easy when you've got this many eyeballs using your platform. How on earth do you try and do this free of bias and make everybody happy?
Right, but in terms of like the Steve Bannon, like that, if it was to what I like and dislike on Facebook and everywhere else, and all the other information that Facebook has about me, that probably wouldn't come up for me, unless it was something negative. And so I'm open to hearing other things. I want to hear alternative viewpoints
for sure.
So I'm glad of that.
Yeah, exactly. It widens it out and reduces the filter bubble, which is a good thing. It's certainly something that we've been complaining about. So good work.
Amazon is cornering the transportation market in the air, land, and now the sea. The Wall Street Journal reports that the retail giant will control ocean shipments from Chinese manufacturers to U.S. warehouses. They won't own the ships or employ the crews, but they will manage the logistics end of container shipping, a job which was previously outsourced. So this, of course, is another step in taking over UPS and FedEx for Amazon, just controlling that. It's also a way to control costs. And I mean, we are very demanding about how fast our goods come to us and the price of our goods, which means they often have to come from China and other places overseas. So we're demanding this, and they're delivering for now.
Yeah, ocean shipping, when you compare it to a lot of the other methods, is relatively inexpensive. Apparently, Amazon China was awarded a license to do this a year ago. So this is and then it was kind of like, okay, well, when is this going to start happening? Now it seems like that's going to happen. Chinese firms, air shipping in comparison is more expensive. And when you're ordering things from China, at least here in the U.S., often, you're very used to kind of the takes weeks to get to you because it is more expensive to do that. So they're coming with methods like this. So this is great for Amazon to kind of be part of that chain and potentially speed up the process for Chinese vendors trying to reach American consumers. So yeah, it's a good deal. And you thought Snap's spectacles were smart glasses. A team out of the University of Utah is working on creating smart glasses with liquid-based smart in a different sense, by the way, with liquid-based lenses that will allow the wearer to automatically shift their focus based on the proximity of what they're looking at. So what does that exactly mean? It would basically help those, in one example, who might normally have to put on bifocals in order to read something that's close to them, keep them from having to put on another pair of glasses for farsighted objects. It essentially, the technology sounds pretty interesting. The lens is made with glycerin. Each lens connected to a mechanical actuator that actually shifts the membrane, and that changes the focal length between the lens and the eye. So when you look at something, a meter measures the distance of that, and then informs the actuators how to curve the lenses to bring it into focus. So it's like dynamic lenses for your glasses. I think this is awesome.
And the idea is that you'll never have to get new glasses again. You'll always wear those ugly glasses for the rest of your life.
That's prototype. I'm sure they'll look awesome. I'm sure they'll look like Snap spectacles someday.
Maybe.
And then we'll all be super happy because those are hot.
The other concern I have with these not so attractive smart glasses is that you have to charge them. It says the charge might last 24 hours. So then we're going to have like the extra battery backup, hanging from our glasses.
No, we'll have battery earrings.
Or battery nose.
Oh, battery nose. That's a good idea.
That's the final product right there.
Yeah, that's excellent.
So close.
Burke has some.
Burke has an idea. Maybe a battery fanny pack. I know some viewers and listeners would say that fanny is a bad word, but there you go.
Oh, would they?
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, but when you add it with pack, I mean, if you're stylish, it's a bad word.
That's just a bad word altogether, apparently. I think it's funny.
All right. Well, I'm excited to see someone else wearing these glasses. Perhaps you.
Perhaps.
After the break, addicted to Facebook, we're here to help. But first, let's take a minute to thank Blue Apron, the sponsor of this episode. Blue Apron is the #1 fresh ingredient and recipe delivery service in the country. Their mission is to make incredible home cooking accessible to everyone while supporting a more sustainable food system, setting the highest standards for ingredients, and building a community of home chefs. Blue Apron delivers seasonal recipes along with fresh, high-quality ingredients to make delicious home-cooked meals. Each meal comes with a step-by-step, easy-to-follow recipe card and pre-portioned ingredients that you can prepare in 40 minutes or less. Save time and money. Shopping at the grocery store is 60% more expensive than Blue Apron. But with Blue Apron, you can spend $10 per person for healthy home-cooked meals. Customize your recipes every week based on your dietary preferences. Gluten-free, vegetarian, vegan, pescatarian, whatever you choose, you can choose your dietary preferences and choose a delivery option that fits your needs. There's no weekly commitment, so you only get deliveries when you want them. Blue Apron delivers to 99% of the continental U.S. They set the highest quality of standards for their community of over 100 local farms, fisheries, and ranches across the United States. Blue Apron not only supports a more sustainable food system, it also supports your happy and healthy family because cooking together builds strong family bonds, and research shows that Blue Apron families cook nearly 3 times more often. New recipes are created every week by Blue Apron's culinary team, and you won't see them repeated for a year. There's spicy shrimp and Korean rice cakes with cabbage and furikake hoisin chicken steam buns with broccoli and marinated carrots. Check out this week's menu and get your first 3 meals free with free shipping by going to blueapron.com/TNT. Don't forget the TNT at the end. That's how they know we sent you. blueapron.com/TNT. And we thank Blue Apron for their support of Tech News Today. You have a gambling addiction, a pretty serious one, actually. These are the words that CNET executive editor Sharon Profis uses to describe our relationship with Facebook. And if this sounds like you, consider this your first Facebook anonymous meeting. And Sharon Profis is here to show you how to quit the world's most popular social network. Welcome to the show, Sharon.
Thank you for having me.
So you write that we might be spending or wasting 6 to 7 hours per week swiping through Facebook. If we want to stop, you say step 1 is don't overthink it. Can you talk a little bit about that?
Yeah, so I think that because it really truly is an addiction for a lot of people, we tend to, just like when you quit anything, whether it's cigarettes or bad food, you overthink it or you delay making a decision because you are just inherently addicted to it and you crave it. So the first step really is to stop overthinking it. You might be thinking, well, what will I be missing out on? What if someone gets engaged and I miss out? What if I miss baby photos or some, news or a viral video? So yes, you might miss some things, but the more you think about all that FOMO, the less likely it is that you're actually going to quit.
So you talk about all the apps that we use to log into Facebook, just so we don't have to create another username and another password. We just automatically log in through Facebook and willingly turn over all of our information and our friends' information. What happens if you deactivate or delete your account? What happens to all those logins? Can you get to those sites now?
Yeah, so about 6 months ago, I deactivated my Facebook account, and it was a super frustrating experience because I deactivated it and I was like, yeah, go me, I'm off Facebook, a new life, new lease on life. And then I went to log into my Spotify account and it said, oh, log in with your Facebook. So I clicked the button to see what would happen. And lo and behold, I had inadvertently reactivated my Facebook account. So it's very likely that you're probably in my boat. You signed up with, Pinterest or a lot of things, like you said, with Facebook. So the first thing you have to do is to unlink your Facebook account from all of those services. And usually what that involves is hitting a button that says disconnect from Facebook and then creating either a new username or using your email to log into those services. It is a painful experience, but it's totally worth it, I promise.
And it really, that's just one of many points that kind of illustrate how a company like Facebook that has so many users, how they keep you engaged and keep you kind of put you in an uncomfortable position, let's say, to in essence kind of force you to never change your mind, to never leave the service. They've really made it very uncomfortable to do that. I actually stepped away from Facebook early December. I hit a point where I was like, I can't take this anymore. I spend so much time scrolling through the feed and it's just wasted time, right? It's like, okay, great. I got through all the hard parts of my day. I'm going to sit down on the couch and the sky's the limit. What do I want to do? 2 hours of this. And, you realize, like, what if you put that to use somewhere in a different way? What if you read a book, which is what I've been doing a lot of? What if, make music, whatever the case may be. It opens up a world of other things because it's literally hours per week that you spend doing that.
Oh yeah, and one thing I didn't mention in the story, but I can mention here is that, and I think there's a similar feature on Android, but if you have an iPhone and you go into your battery settings, it'll show you a list of all the apps that you use and what percentage of your battery they're consuming. Now, if you tap any item on that list, the list will flip and tell you how much time, on-screen time, you've spent with those apps. And if you're watching right now and you have an iPhone, check it out because you'll see exactly how much time you're spending on Facebook per week. Maybe it's only 6 hours, maybe it's 7 hours, but maybe it's 10 or 12, especially if, this election season in particular, I think has consumed a lot of people and gotten them on Facebook more than they were in the past. So yeah, you're definitely not alone. And if that number is really high for you, think about what else you could be doing. I know it sounds cliche and silly, read a book, cook a meal, but that really is time that you could be using doing something else more productive. I sound like a freaking middle school teacher right now.
But it's true. It's totally true.
Well, yeah, agree. It depends on what your relationship is with Facebook.
Yeah, I think that's the big question, right? Is your relationship with Facebook at a point to where you feel like you need to step away from it? Like telling everybody, hey, you should step away from Facebook. Obviously, that's a personal choice. I definitely hit that point where I was like, all right, I need to for my own sanity because it just wasn't. I kept going back to the well, but I wasn't enjoying what I was finding there. It was all, kind of putting me in a negative space. And I want my time to be spent positively.
Mm-hmm. Well, you have a good point about how, really, are you going to delete your account? Are you going to just ignore Facebook? It's the time when you say men become men, women become women. So Jason, when he says he was off Facebook, he wrote a long post saying he was off Facebook.
And then I realized the challenge is you don't go back and see who commented on that post that you said you're on Facebook.
So
I never did.
Yeah, I was scrolling through and I was like, your mom's. You're not even hearing what your mom has to say. But he just has
applying
the willpower.
Facebook guilt.
Yeah, he has the willpower to not go back. Whereas I deleted my account in 2008, like back then. I only got it back about 2 years ago, but I had to delete. I had to go cold turkey. Like I had to throw the cupcakes in the trash and, just not have any access to it at all. What do you recommend for people?
So I think it really depends on your willpower, and only you know how far you can push yourself. So for me, I've been able to, you guys can probably understand, it's really hard to be in media and not have profiles on every social network. So I like to keep my Facebook up because I selfishly want to let people know when I have a new video in my series out. But otherwise, I've deleted my account the app from my phone, and I rarely, if ever, maybe once a week, check Facebook nowadays. And that's it for me, and it really works. But if you can't handle that, meaning if by keeping your Facebook account open and live, you'll be tempted into checking it, and then all of a sudden it's a slippery slope of, again, an hour a day, then your best bet really is to deactivate it or delete it entirely. So the difference between deactivating and deleting is basically deactivating is like taking a break. You can reactivate it and all your stuff is exactly where you left it. Deleting it means you'll have to sign up for Facebook again if you decide to go back.
I've found another challenge, obviously, is the maintaining contact. Like the big challenge is that everybody's on Facebook, and Facebook's been around for a long time, right? So over that amount of time, it's like our habits, our routines for keeping in touch with our friends and family in long distances have transformed for a long period of time. It used to be that you used to call and you used to email, and now much of this conversation happens on Facebook. And we've been exposed to that for so long that stepping away from Facebook isn't just, I need a break from Facebook. It ends up being, I'm also getting distance between myself and my friends and my family, and that becomes a big challenge. What do you recommend there?
So that's a really good point, and it's definitely a challenge. And for sure, it won't just be weird for you to disconnect from your family on Facebook. It's going to be weird for your family members when you start actually texting them or calling them.
Right.
Or what happened. So that's a little growing pain. The part about the friends is really interesting. I think that Facebook has created this inflated sense of our circle of friends, meaning we think we have a bigger group of friends than we actually have. So it's a good time to take a moment and ask yourself, how many of these people do I see in real life? So one of my rules when I was on Facebook was, if I pass them by in the street and I wouldn't stop to say hi, give a hug, or have a conversation, I probably shouldn't be friends with them on Facebook. So you can use little filters like that for yourself to decide, are these really my friends? Who do I actually want to keep in touch with? And what's wonderful is that once you do leave Facebook, it'll force you to either reach out to those people who you only contacted on Facebook but didn't actually hang out with in real life, or realize that maybe they actually aren't your friends in the first place and you've just been stalking them since high school.
That's a good way to put it.
Well, I'm going to play devil's advocate a little bit because I am back on Facebook, and there was a huge political movement that happened over the weekend, the Women's March, which started on Facebook. That was how it started. And there are a lot of grassroots movements that start there. What do you say to people who say, like, this is where I want to find people to really, truly connect with?
So then I would say it's up to you to restrict the amount of time that you are spending on Facebook. Are you using it usefully, in a useful way? Great. But are you overindulging? Then that's a different question. Now, there is still a way to strike balance, and it's something that I mentioned. So you can try and cut down by deleting the app and deciding, okay, I'm only going to use Facebook on the desktop, which for many people these days is a limited amount of time that we have per week. Or you can go a step further and set either parental controls or use a browser extension to limit the amount of time that you spend on Facebook. Definitely, I support the grassroots movements that started on Facebook, specifically the Women's March, but that doesn't mean that you have to spend an hour a day in those activities unless you're organizing one, in which case more power to you.
Right.
Okay, so what if we've decided, yes, Sharon is right, I have a problem and I need to go cold turkey, I need to delete it. What about all my memories? What do I do with those?
So Facebook does actually make it easy to save all of your data. It's available in your settings. So if you go to your Facebook settings, there's an option to download all of your data, kind of like Google's takeout service. So what that will happen is you'll ask for it, they'll send you a link to a download file, and then all of your photos, your posts, your contact lists, everything will be saved for you. So you can just blissfully leave Facebook and know that your data is with you.
Well, Sharon, thank you so much for joining us. Sharon is an executive editor at CNET and is Sharon Profis on Twitter. Thanks so much for coming on.
Thank you,
Of
Sharon.
course, thanks for having me.
Appreciate
Take
it.
care.
Been a pleasure.
Bye, guys.
Bye-bye. We got some feedback. Alan Rothberg wrote into TNT at twit.tv to say, I'm interested in your proposed phone swap. How are you going to let us viewers know your thoughts and opinions? I'm pretty much an iPhone user since I live in the Mac ecosystem, but I recently purchased a Nexus 5X and have been working with Android 7.x. So I'm probably 7.1 at this point, I'm thinking. I love the customization, he says, that Android allows. iOS is really looking dated, but probably just from years of working with iOS, it seems easier to do most of the tasks on the iPhone. So you took a trip with my phone.
I did.
How was my phone on the trip? Did it annoy you? It just couldn't stop talking, and it was like, okay, 3 days in, I'm done with you, Pixel.
No, I am not done with the Pixel. I think we're a little closer.
Okay, good.
Like any good trip you take with someone, you feel you're bonded. I was maybe a little bit worried. We don't know each other as well, but I think we did pretty well. And I think I might not have taken as many photos.
Oh,
and I
okay.
don't know why that is, because I don't know that the Pixel camera is strictly, I don't think the iPhone 7 camera is that much better than the Pixel camera, but I think I'm just more comfortable with it maybe. I did try to take the, what is the 360 photo called?
The Photosphere?
Photosphere, and those I still have not gotten the hang of. And it takes a long time.
Those aren't very easy, honestly, and you only get the best kind of results from those if you've got like a mount to put it on, because you don't want the camera to rotate too far around your body, which you're forced to do if you're holding your phone.
Yeah.
So things don't always line up as a result of that. But I've seen some really great photospheres. It just takes a while to do it.
Yeah, it takes a while. So I miss my Apple Watch, I think, more than I miss.
I'm taking good care of your Apple Watch.
But, I do have the Moto 360, which it ran out of battery today. And then Victor had this Qi charger, just a RAV power Qi charger, which I could just use. And the Apple Watch, if you don't have the Apple Watch charger, you're out of luck. So there's some features that I really like. And, to answer your question, we will be talking about it periodically on this show. We have set up a YouTube, not a YouTube channel, but on YouTube you can find a whole playlist.
Yeah, the Twit Switch.
If you want to go there.
Yeah.
There's a hashtag Twit Switch, if you want to read through all of those comments.
I think if you go to youtube.com/user/twit, which is just our main Twit channel, I believe that there is a Twit Switch section there. I could be wrong. I'm not sure where that's being housed.
I don't know.
Anyways, I know that it exists. Do a search
it's
for
there.
it.
And we
it's
will
there.
be on each other's shows too.
At the very end, which is less than 2 weeks away at this point. We're over halfway with the Switch. At this point, where am I standing here? Camera is really great. Obviously, the iPhone has excellent photos. I find myself opting for portrait mode a lot because the more I use it and the more it actually does what it promises. Like, it does a really good job of the dual camera kind of perspective shifting where it blurs out the back, keeps the front in focus. I've seen some Android devices do that and do it pretty well, but when you really kind of zoom in and get close, you see kind of the edges aren't perfect, and you can see some of the imperfections. Sometimes they're great, sometimes they're not. I've been really happy with the portrait mode on iPhone. I just wish I wish that it wasn't so close up when you do it. You switch to it and it brings everything much closer. And I understand it's just how it works, but still not really digging the notifications aspect of it, the shade that you pull down. I feel like I'm more productive on Android with my notifications. I actually use it in kind of a productivity sort of way for managing things I still have to do and whatever on Android. And on iOS, it just gets too noisy and I don't know, disorganized for my liking.
And I have
I think that's probably a preference of platform.
Yeah, I think it's more, the notifications here are more confusing to me. But I have noticed, actually, as a coworker, that you are less responsive than you normally are.
Well, there we go. I'll have to internalize that one a little bit. One-handed use, I find way better on Android than on iOS. And basically, I think it comes down to having the controls down at the bottom. If I'm holding a phone and the controls are always down at the bottom, it's easy for my thumb to reach those controls and go back and do whatever. On iOS, so often the back is all the way up at the top.
Yeah.
That almost forces you to do a two-handed method. And there are ways to like shrink the UI down. You double tap, just lightly tap 2 times the home button, and that kind of brings everything down halfway so that you can reach them. But then, you're talking about doing 3 things to do that thing that on Android, it only takes 1 thing, and that kind of gets on my nerves a little bit because then I have to do the two-handed thing. But still really enjoying the Apple Watch. Is probably one of my biggest surprises is how much I enjoy the Apple Watch. Never expected that. And charging is really slow. But when you charge it, the battery lasts for a long time. So there's the trade-off.
That I read on Twitter that I'm supposed to give you my iPad charger or something that charges fast, but I don't know which one is which. Yeah, that was one thing. I definitely never on vacation felt like this could make it through the day, but I never really tried it. I mean, I always had an external battery. I actually am a little... I was a little hoarding. I had 3 external batteries between my daughter and I on the trip.
You wanted to make sure you made it through.
But it was like, that's the kind of, packing extra snacks and everything. It's like we were never going to run out of battery. So that wasn't really an issue.
Yeah. And I mean, actually when you're an Android user and you go to like an event, like a conference or whatever, very, very accustomed to seeing other Android users that have an external battery that they can plug into as needed. But it's really fast. It's fast to charge on those devices. And yeah, I could imagine, I haven't taken the iPhone to an event or to, something like you were doing where you leave very early in the morning, you use it all day, and then you come back at night. But I know it would last through. And I mean, the platforms are just so different in that regard, right? Like iOS doesn't allow as much kind of freewheeling control of apps on the platform to kind of do things in the background to the extent that Android does. So it's like you've got more power on Android as a developer and as running in apps on there, but it's at the expense of things like battery.
Right. I mean, I would say my biggest complaint about using this phone is that it doesn't have iMessage. And so therefore, like a lot of people who are used to me being on iMessage, they send a message and it doesn't go through. They have to send it as a text message. But that's not Android's fault. That's Apple's fault. I mean, I think that's Apple's fault that they have a closed system, that they don't let
open up iMessage.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think that's the fault of Android. That's Apple saying, no, like we want to keep you. So, we are going to make iMessage just for us. And I don't think they intentionally make it difficult to leave, but it is difficult to leave.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, and if you were an Android user, like day in, day out, and everybody that you knew, and you had to get accustomed to the messaging kind of scenario of the Android world, I mean, you'd feel frustrated with that too. There's a lot of issues with messaging on Android, just in the fact that there is no real standard like there is on iOS with iMessages. I feel like I don't benefit as much from the upsides of Messenger, iMessages, because I'm not an iOS user. So most of the people that I communicate with, I do that already in other methods anyways. And if I was to be an iOS user for a long time, I'm sure that would change over time, and I would realize who's on iMessages, and that would be a good thing to figure out. So I guess the answer to your question is we'll tell you how this is going when you email us and ask us. There you go. Up next, we're going to talk a little bit about animated GIFs. Actually, we've got a really cool thing that you can make if you got a favorite animated GIF and you want to turn it into something tangible. But before we talk about that, let's take a minute to thank Rocket Mortgage by Quicken Loans. They're the sponsor of this episode. If you are looking to find a mortgage, or you're searching for a house, you're going to need to secure a mortgage for that house, and you need to go through a whole number of steps in order to make that happen. Or maybe you already have a mortgage and you need to refinance your mortgage. Sometimes it's not as easy as just give me the money. In fact, it's never that easy. You always have to provide some sort of information, and that has to come from somewhere. It's not super easy, even in this digital world that we live in. So Rocket Mortgage actually makes it a lot easier for you. And when it comes to the big decision of choosing a mortgage lender, you're going to want to work with someone who has your best interest in mind, someone that you can trust. And with Rocket Mortgage, you'll get a transparent online process that gives you the confidence to make an informed decision. So you will stop wasting time searching through all of your stacks of paperwork for that information. With Rocket Mortgage, they're going to save you that time. You can securely share your financial information to get a mortgage approval in minutes digitally. You can even adjust the rate and the length of your loan in real time to make sure you get the mortgage solution that's perfect for you, so you can play with the numbers. Whether you're looking to buy a home or refinance your existing mortgage, you can actually lift the burden of getting a home loan by choosing Rocket Mortgage. Skip the bank, skip the waiting while you're at it, and go completely online at quickenloans.com/TNT. That's quickenloans.com/TNT. Equal housing lender, licensed in all 50 states. NMLS, consumeraccess.org, number 3030. And we thank Rocket Mortgage by Quicken Loans for their support.
TNT's fan of the day is Don Riley on Google Plus, who sent us this video take with his Ring stick-up camera. We are assuming.
I'm assuming so. It's got Ring down the.
Well, we can listen to it too, hopefully.
So I love this because I'm sure there are many of you that do this. Don sits down in his cozy chair, pulls the blanket over, and I mean, it's like he's watching a movie, but it's us. It's tech news as a movie. It's great.
Now, you just assume that's Don and not just someone Don's spying on, which is my first thought.
I'm guessing it's probably Don.
I hope that's Don and not just someone who's hacked into Don's camera.
Don's like, hey, I hacked into this camera somewhere and check out what they were watching. Isn't that weird?
How I watch other people watch TNT. That's what we want to see. No, that's not what we want to see at all. Show us how you watch or listen. Record a video, take a picture of yourself or your setup.
Yeah, you
watching. Post it on Instagram, Google+, Twitter, or Facebook. Do not hack into anyone else's laptop or anything. Don't go looking for people who aren't smart enough to put something over their camera. We just want to see you. Use the hashtag #HowIWatchTNT, and we'll find it.
We talk about IoT insecurities all the time. We don't want that to come from a How I Watch TNT submission. Please don't make that happen. What is an animated GIF? Really, it's a series of frames played consecutively, one after the other. You know what else is a concept that kind of idea is really good for? Flipbooks. Surely you know what flipbooks are. You flip the pages, a series of images flash by page after page, animating seemingly like magic before your very eyes. Now, an esteemed gentleman of the internet named Stupat McDoodlepip has created an app called Print a GIF that allows you to take that animated GIF and print it out in a way that's relatively easy, if not somewhat time-consuming. You run it through the app, it prints it all out. You have to, kind of line it up and cut out all the pieces. You assemble it, you glue the sides, flip through it, and like magic, Homer Simpson walks slowly backwards and ends up being hidden with the bushes that are behind him. It's like taking your animated GIF and turning it into something tangible.
Yeah, something you could flip through and then do what with? Keep on your
Look at it. Even he at the end. So it's like a fast forward time lapse right here of him taking out frame by frame by frame, cutting them all out. Then he kind of sandwiches them all together, glues the binding. He secures it, which is one step more than I probably would have done. Then he comes back to it, demonstrates that you can flip through it, as he'll do right here. Yep, you can flip through it, and that's about it. Whatever. Throws it on the table. He's like, yeah, okay, that was cool. He even posted a YouTube video of him creating a flipbook of the YouTube video of him creating the first flipbook. So it's like flipbook animated GIF inception.
I love the code. Yeah, there it is. That's amazing. I love that he created this as, has the code up on GitHub and anyone can do it. And I love just reading through the Reddit where it's like, do this. Because on Reddit they were like, I want someone to make a flip book of you making the flip book. And he's like, here it is.
I mean, it just has to keep happening. I think every day he should make a new one.
Yeah.
And at some point your brain explodes.
It's pretty amazing.
If not, see, I would make one of that. The brain exploding. What was the other one I put in here?
I do want to make one, but I don't think I have that kind of time.
Oh yes, that one's good too. Very indicative of the times. Anyways, animated GIFs turned into flipbooks. You didn't know you wanted to do that. Well, now you can. Mm-hmm. There you go. TNT records live every Monday through Friday at 4 p.m. Pacific, 7 p.m. Eastern, midnight UTC at twit.tv/live. You can be part of the show by emailing us, tnt@twit.tv. Leave us a short voicemail at 260-TNT-SHOW. And find us on Twitter. We're at Tech News Today TV.
And my friends, we want to hear from you. Please take our new audience survey. It should take about 2 minutes, and it'll help us get a general idea of who you are. Then we can provide better programming. It helps us to pick advertisers we think that you'd be interested in. It helps us know whether you would be interested in the code to make a flipbook out of a GIF. We want to know. Many of you, I would say most of you, take privacy very seriously. We do too. We promise always to protect that. We don't identify you in any way in the survey. So head over to twit.tv/survey now. And you can find all the ways to subscribe to our show at twit.tv/TNT. And if you want to tweet at me, I'm at Megan Maroney.
And I'm at Jason Howell. Thanks to our technical director, as always, Brian Burnett. Thanks to Burke for helping out here in the studio. Thanks to Kevin for editing the show. And thanks to you for talking tech with us today. We'll see y'all tomorrow. Bye, everybody. Yeah, got high five back.